afternoon. You're just in time for NTV at One. My name is Zainab Ismail. Now, 6 suspects in the Barclays Bank cash syndicate are currently being grilled at the flying squad headquarters here in Nairobi. This follows the fake 2 billion shillings nabbed yesterday at Barclays Bank Queensway branch, stashed in a safe deposit box. The 6 will be arraigned tomorrow at the Milimani Law Courts. And Mel Miendo is at Nairobi area with the latest. A very good afternoon to you, Mel. What is the situation at this point?
Good afternoon to you, Zainab. We were hoping that the 6 suspects would be leaving this place any time, but we've not seen any of them yet. So we do believe that they're still being grilled here at the flying squad headquarters. They came in here a bit earlier on in the morning, about 10 a.m. and up till now they're still here. Now, of course, we were told that they were at the Milimani Law Courts. Now, the idea is that they were then to begin there, then come all this way, but we were told they were in the police cells at the Milimani Law Courts and they did not go inside any court. And so the court session will be held tomorrow, and so we will be expecting to see that. But for now, we were speaking to Musa Yego, who is the head of the flying squad, and he told us that there's a lot of investigations that are still yet to be done, and then after that is when either in Kilimani police station or Kilelesha police station is where these suspects will be taken. 6 of them, 4 are being represented by a lawyer. His name is Martin Olo. He spoke to us earlier on. You'll get to hear what he said. Now, one of the things that he mentioned is the issue regarding the 2 billion Kenya shillings. We've been told that it is fake money, but according to these lawyers, they're not yet very sure whether it's fake or not. We do know that yesterday this money was nabbed at the Barclays Bank Queensway branch, and it was in dollars, about 20 million US dollars. So there are 2 officials, Barclays Bank officials, who are among the 6 suspects. Now, one of the lawyers who is representing the Barclays Bank said he is not representing the officials per se. He mentioned to us just a few minutes ago that he is representing Barclays Bank, to be specific. And he told us as well that he's not sure that these 2 officials will be charged. Now, we've also gotten some reports saying that there is a possibility that the flying squad detectives will be going back to the Barclays Bank Queensway branch. Either they'll be going with the suspects or not, but they need to go back to the scene of crime. We do not know yet what time, but we are aware that they will be going back to that branch a little later on. And so for now, we had spoken to Martin Olo, but let me just quickly give you the names of these suspects. Zainab, just a quick one. So the main suspect is Dr. Eric Adede. Now, Adede had vied for the Homa Bay Member of Parliament seat last year in 2017. So he vied for Homa Bay MP in 2017. He did not get that seat. He is the main suspect, and it is said that that stash of money was in his safe deposit box inside the Queensway branch at the Barclays Bank. There's also Ahmed Shah, who is supposedly a fake investor. Now, there are some reports that I have received from police that this Ahmed Shah was in Uganda before coming into Kenya, and he was involved in fraud. And so he is known as a fake investor, and he's among the suspects. There's also Elizabeth Muthoni, Irene Wairimo, Boaz Ochik, and Charles Manzi. Those 2 are the bank officials from Barclays Bank. Remember yesterday, Zainab, Barclays Bank distanced itself from this matter, saying they do not know or are not aware with regards to contents of a safe deposit box. But of course, this has very much dented their reputation as Barclays Bank of Kenya. Let's now listen to what Martin Olo had to say. We were speaking to him here at the Nairobi area, and he's representing about 3 of the suspects, none of which are Barclays Bank officials. Let's listen in.
There's no doubt that they'll be arraigned tomorrow morning. As to whether they take a plea or not will be a question of the strategy that the prosecution wants to have. I suppose there's a bit of this application they wanted to make. By end of the day today, they may have no reason to make that application. Prefer the charges and proceed to for us to make the necessary bail applications, as well as ask that we be given the various documentation that they are relying on. Partly, I believe that they are still putting their documentation together, and that's why they need to buy a bit of time.
Now, the 6 people who are arrested Tuesday evening in connection with fake currency include Dr. Eric Adede, who is the owner of the safe deposit box at Barclays Bank Queensway branch. Adede vied for the political seat in the previous elections but failed to win. Ahmed Shah, who allegedly posed as an investor, was also arrested. Shah is described as a Punjabi. 2 ladies, Elizabeth Mudhoni and Irene Wairimu Kimani, are also suspects, but their roles were still unspecified. 2 bank officials are also in detention, namely Boaz Ochich and Charles Manzi. Now, residents of Kitui County are in dire need of food and water due to severe drought that has hit the area, where more than 100,000 100,000 households are affected. Schools are on the verge of closing, and the 2 boreholes that serve the residents have dried up. The residents, who are now walking tens of kilometers each day in search of water, are asking for help from the county and the national government.
Prolonged drought in many parts of Kitui has left many without access to water and food. Women are the most affected, as many have to walk for more than 10 kilometers in search of the precious commodity.
Tunang'ang'ania maji mpaka saa 2 ya usiku, wengine wanakosa. Semi sublocation yote watu wanakusanyika hapa. Hakuna mahali pengine kuna maji.
Ukiamka asubuhi ni kung'ang'ana tu na maji ndio upate maji yako ya kunywa, ya ng'ombe, ya mbuzi.
Residents fear that if nothing is done, lives will be lost and are now asking for intervention from the county and national government.
Tuko na njaa kubwa sana. Msimu uliopita tulipata chakula kidogo, lakini sasa hakuna.
Wakati huu sisi huku hatupati molio kabisa. Molio hata sisikii watu wakipewa molio, na watu wanaumia na njaa.
According to the National Drought Management Authority, 150,000 households have been adversely affected by the drought in Kitui County. The report has indicated Zombe, Mtitu, Endau, Malalani, Mutomo, Ikutha, Kanziko, Mutha, Athi, Sekuru, Ngomeni, Tharaka, Nguni and Nu are some of the worst hit areas.
And a suspected gangster was shot dead this morning, and some of his accomplices escaped with injuries. It is reported that the police intercepted the gang during a robbery at Nduma area in Kikuyu in Kiambu.
A fake rifle was recovered at the scene, where it is suspected to have been left behind by the thugs. One suspected thug was shot dead while 3 escaped with gunshot wounds. According to residents, the thugs have been terrorizing the neighborhood for quite some time.
Kama last month kumeimbiwa mara 2, last Sunday but 1 kumeimbiwa, watu wameralishwa huku na mabuduki na wameimbiwa.
A motorbike allegedly used by the suspect was found in a thicket with its number plates concealed. The residents are appealing for the construction of a police post in the village. They say the only existing police station is 5 kilometers from the village, and police there have been reluctant to act. Halima Gongo, NTV.
And 3 people from Isiolo County were killed in a suspected cattle rustling incident at Losesia area in neighboring Samburu. The incident took place when herders from Isiolo went on an alleged revenge mission, seeking to reclaim their animals following an invasion. The 2 sets of herders engaged in a shootout where the 3 were killed and an unconfirmed number escaped with injuries. Isiolo County Commissioner John Ondego has condemned the incident, warning the pastoral community against taking the law into their own hands.
Jambo limefanyika, tuna regret, tumepoteza maisha ambao haikuwa inastahili kupotezwa. Kwa hivyo kitu ambacho tunataka iwekwe sasa ni amani.
Our President Uhuru Kenyatta reiterated the need to promote the blue economy as one of the ways of growing the economy. Speaking at the President's Award Kenya Gold Awards presentation at State House in Nairobi.
We're also tapping to expand new frontiers such as the blue economy and e-commerce. Last year, Kenya hosted the first ever Global Sustainable Blue Economy Conference, a conference that discussed how to harness the potential of our oceans, our seas, our lakes, and our rivers to improve the lives of all, particularly our women and youth. Indeed, as part of Kenya's commitment to the sustainable blue economy, my government is also leveraging on the latest innovations and cutting-edge scientific discoveries and international best practices to ensure that Kenyans can make maximum but environmentally conscious use of our water bodies for their individual use and also for our national economic empowerment.
And Deputy President William Ruto has reiterated that the war on corruption is waged on individuals for political purposes. He says a group identifies a target after which evidence is constructed and weaponized. He has also defended his claims that the money lost in the Aurora and Kimwarer Dam scandal is 7 billion shillings. He is in Mombasa for a conference bringing together various professionals.
A large portion of blame for shortcomings in our society may be seen as failures attributable to professionals and professional organizations. When we talk about corruption that is ravaging our society, we may move from broad generalities and begin to examine the role of specific professionals in the mechanics of every corrupt incident.
Now, more than 7,000 non-governmental organizations are in danger of deregistration for failing to submit their annual returns. This is according to the newly inaugurated NGOs Coordination Board. The board held its first stakeholder session with all NGOs in Nairobi this morning. The board's new executive director, Mutuma Nkanata, has reiterated the commitment to improve the relationship with stakeholders. The board has vowed not to be used by the government to frustrate NGOs that are critical to the government, as was witnessed in the previous board's tenure. There are more than 11,000 NGOs registered by the board. They collectively received 153 billion shillings between 1st July 2017 and 30th June 2018.
And his administration in the fight against corruption. I believe as a sector, we have an important role to play in the fight against graft, including empowering citizens to say no to corruption and corrupt individuals.
We intend to improve the relationship between the government, the board and the civil society or NGO sector because we don't believe the hostile relationship is useful to the country because whether it's the government or the NGO, they are all serving the public and their responsibility is to deliver services as best as they can to those who need services.
Now, business at Riyadh Market in Kisumu County was this morning disrupted after some two self-declared peace ambassadors arrived driving a unique car made out of scrap metal. The duo caused a stir at the lakeside city, with the innovation attracting a huge crowd. Okukusa was equally captivated by the motorcycle turned motor vehicle and shares his experience.
At Kisumu's Riyadh area, a huge crowd of curious onlookers are milling around a machine. A captivating creation of one Anthony Waliaru and Moses Maganga. A motorcycle modified to resemble a motor vehicle. Anthony says he is the brain behind the innovation.
Most of these things, by the way, tumetoa scrap, zingine tumenunua dukani kwa sababu sisi wenyewe pia ni mahasla.
According to Anthony, it took them at least 3 years to build the machine, which has become a crowd puller everywhere they go.
Imetucost like over slightly 200 and plus thousands. Kuna ngoma ufa mzuri, kuna speaker zake ambazo ziko sawa, kuna TV hapo 24 inch screen, it's a solar mkopa solar ambayo inatumia sasa, yani hiyo solar
And here is the impetus behind the innovation.
Sisi kama vijana wa nchi hii, nikiwa mmoja, ninailaani tabia ya ukabila katika nchi hii. maana hiyo tabia ya ukabila ndio sasa imeleta hata kugawanywa kwa misingi ya kisiasa, ya kwamba leo wewe unasema yule ni mrengo fulani, yule ni mrengo fulani.
Anthony says that this is not the first time he has traversed the country as a peace ambassador. He tried it in 2014 amid numerous challenges.
We wanted something stable. Yes. We wanted something that can accommodate at least watu wawili na pia mahali pa mzigo. Because last time nikitembea sikuwa na mahali pa kubebea mzigo vizuri, singebeba mwenzangu. So tulikuwa tunazingatia hayo basing on safari yetu vile itakuwa.
The duo says that they have been relying on well-wishers to fund their road trip, which they claim has so far covered 34 counties.
Hatuna hela. Unajua fuel sometimes na service ya gari, unajipata kwamba mkisema kwamba mlale kwa hoteli, then that means that kesho yake sasa hata mafuta itakuwa ni shida. So we have a tent yenye huwa kama tumeishiwa, tuna pitch tent mahali, na tunalala.
Awestruck, the residents marveled at the innovation.
Na kazi yenye wamefanya pia tulikuwa tungeomba tena watu waambie zaidi kenye wametumia, hata sisi tukuwe na hiyo knowledge. Kuna watu wengi wako na hiyo kivipaji lakini hawajapata time, na at least kama wameshare knowledge yao itatusaidia sana.
Jambo la kwanza, we are peace ambassador.
Anthony and his friend Moses plan to spend 3 days in Kisumu holding peace campaigns in all the corners of the town before they head out to county number 36.
Now, they came to Kenya over a decade ago, allegedly on a charity mission, registered over 80 orphans and vulnerable children to a family home in Bomet County. For the young ones, nothing could compare to the joy of enjoying a family setup. Only it was what it looked like. It wasn't what it looked like. They were sexually exploited and their rights abused. This Sunday, NTV investigates praying missionaries with Edmund Nyabola.
This family came to Kenya in the year 2008.
I could hear children crying loudly in pain.
How many times were you sexually abused by Mr. Dow?
Like 3 times.
It was a sexual abuse on his own daughter.
And they told me to close my eyes and they told us to put our arms like this. Then they shoot something fast here.
Children are not being taken to the hospital.
James was put into a box and then just put in the ground.
The department did not do a proper background check.
For me, I don't know about what you are talking about.
Disturbing revelations there. That feature story will be running on Sunday at 7 and 9 p.m. Now, Zambia's High Commissioner to Kenya, Brenda Mutenba, is dead. Mutenba was undergoing treatment after a road accident that occurred. Company's acquisition of Semtech Company Limited. Simba Cement, owned by Devki Group of Companies, will acquire 100% of Semtech's assets, which holds limestone and clay deposits in West Pokot County, but has been dormant for over a decade. The assets set for takeover include land, business, intellectual property, business records, equipment, goodwill, licenses, stock, and third-party rights. According to CAK, there will be no change in the market share of the merged entity since Semtech has not yet recommenced operations. The authority says that the merged entity will have a market share of 8%. And banks are increasingly seeking various ways of increasing their interest income, which has in the past few years dropped significantly owing to the interest rate capping. I&M Bank has inked a deal with UK-based luxury cars importer MHH International to offer customers a convenient and safe way to import high-end vehicles from the United Kingdom, Australia and Japan. The bank is hoping to boost its interest income revenue streams as part of its strategy to grow the loan book. The bank says it will provide up to 80% asset financing under the agreement. And listed supplier of food and beverage liquefied carbon dioxide Carbasid Limited's net profit for the year ending June 2019 is set to drop by at least 25%, according to a profit warning the firm has issued. The profit for the period is set to fall below 224 million shillings. This comes after the after-tax profit for the first half went down by 36% to 105 million shillings. This adverse performance comes against the backdrop of an increase in the company's costs, which jumped by 7% to 142 million shillings in the 6 months ended January 2018. And in other stories making headlines across our boundaries, the death toll
I'm Sean Carter-Villis with the latest sports news. Now let's start off with football. The Kenya Premier League SportPesa Shield as well as 2020 Olympics qualifiers matches are lined up on Wednesday as teams duel inside and outside of the country. The national under-23 team will be in action in Khartoum as it plays host Sudan in a second round of the under-23 AFCON qualifiers first leg. With the Kenya Premier League running a crash program, there are 3 matches lined up despite it being a FIFA International Week. Sony Sugar will play Bandari at Awendo, Tusker tackle Ulinzi at Ruaraka, and Zoya face Zoo in Sudi. In the final SportPesa Shield round of 32 match, Gor Mahia face Ken Poly in Machakos. Kogalo will also be keeping an eye on the CAF Confederations Cup draw that will be held at 8 p.m. Kenyan time tonight.